are.
Are we starting?
Go ahead, Baller.
All right. Hi, I'm Baller, I guess. Yeah. I mean,
Wow.
That was great.
Good
Hello,
start.
baller.
I'm a senior admin. You know, I don't know if you see. I'm pretty sure you've seen me in game. So, yeah,
Twitch.
crazy.
Hi, I'm Dr. Twitch. I've met quite a few of y'all before. And I just kind of want to add to my intro. I like playing the Stego, I like playing the Serato, and I like playing the Aloe. I am a regular admin.
Face.
Pink pleb.
My turn now.
Mhm.
Hi, I'm Face. I like to play like Yellows, Gigas. I like to play the Herrera the most. Probably it's my favorite. Sorry. Senior admin. I've been around since the end of January. I think it is.
Alright. I'm Hikari. I'm sure a lot of you have seen me. I'm one of the community managers. I've been around since the beginning of January, I believe. Quite a while now. My favorite dinosaurs would probably be the Theory, the Rex, and probably the Galley. Most likely. That's about it. Oily boy?
Hi, I'm Oil. My bird's going off. Nice to meet you.
Quality.
Quality. That's our owner.
I don't think I
Everyone
need
give a
to
clap.
introduce myself.
He's really handsome.
He's beautiful.
Alright, we can start answering questions now, though.
Aw, poor Cheezel. He didn't even
Oh.
get to
Hey,
introduce
I'm-
himself.
I'm the Cheezel. My favorite dinos are the Giga, the Theory, and the Dibble, and all the rest of them suck.
Alrighty. Alright.
Wait, can I say something?
Yeah.
Yeah?
You might not remember me, Cheezel, but I was Onyxica, the Utah Raptor, but and we were in this huge group. Also, huge question, I forgot what I was saying. What gave you the ideas to start this Discord server?
Well, I think that's directed at Oil, not me, because unfortunately I didn't start it, so I'm going to let him have that one. But I actually do remember it was at Docks, right? Or the ports?
Yeah. I was
Heck yeah, dude.
the alpha.
Yeah, man.
I was Onyxica.
Yeah, we spent like a whole weekend over there, dude. We should have another slumber party at the Docks sometime.
Yeah.
Alright, so Oil, that was your question.
What? Just what gave us the want to start this?
Mhm.
Just to want to build a community, and because a lot of the other rules suck.
Okay.
I don't know. A lot of us aren't a fan of the body drop rule, where if someone dies, the fight instantly starts.
Yeah, I never really liked that rule on the other servers. I found it stupid.
Sukio had also asked a question. She had
Yes.
asked us, why does the server reset so much? So who'd like to answer that one?
I gotcha. So, with the restarts, most of our restarts are due to the AI bug. What the AI bug is after you have over 100 player slots in a server, the AI has this bug where every now and then it'll start clumping, and it'll only spawn in about 4 or 5 areas in the entire map, and it'll spawn tens of them at a time on top of each other, and none else will spawn. Because of that, people start complaining that there's no AI around, or so on and so forth, and because of that, we have to restart the server to wipe it and redo. Today we had a restart because there was an issue where the servers were not popping up in the server list, but that was something completely different. But otherwise, that's really the main reasons that we've ever had to restart.
Another question that was given was by Dragon Lord. Has the staff discussed how hypos will be allowed into the servers once the devs allow them to be either injected or playable in survival?
We haven't discussed that either, so.
We
haven't
actually
discussed-
kind of.
yeah.
I think we've touched base about it. Me personally, I've talked about it myself quite a bit. If the hypos are pulled into the servers, I'm going to say it's very difficult if we even allow it at all. Because I can see it being more problem than it is a fun situation. But that's my personal feel about it.
And I think it's
I
something
believe
we'd
that as
like
well.
to do because obviously it'd be really fun to play as hypos, but a lot of it also depends on how, like, what the balanced state of them is when they are released.
I feel like when we do have hypos in, it's going to be for tournaments or special things like what we do with the plays.
Yeah, we obviously can't allow everyone to be hypo, so.
To add on to that, Loxy asked a question saying if anyone's been the type D or H strain. No, none of us have. The only people that can even make those into those types of dinosaurs are devs, and we have yet to have a dev do that. We have had devs on the server once that did show us the hypos, but that was the best we've ever had. That's the only thing we've ever had.
Another question brought up from Booty from Hawaii. Aloha, I'm new to this community, so I'm also curious about how this community was established and who was the genius mastermind behind the point system. I'm also curious about what sort of plans are being talked about for the future of this server.
Well,
My bird won't stop.
Alright,
shut up.
So since Oil's the mastermind, we'll give him a chance to quiet the bird down. But as far as plans, like, I think all of us probably bring our own ideas a little bit. I know as a staff member, like, one of my big ones is trying to find more ways to engage the community. I was one of the people who, like, started the ball rolling for this with Hikari and Twitch. And then, like, I'm helping Rattel in the morning trying to find ways to get better in touch with, like, Chinese or other international players potentially so we can make sure they can read and understand the rules and try and make it better for everyone.
Some of the other things that we're actually also working on is that Cheezel and I have also been discussing a potential YouTube server for us doing a commentary for when we do our tournaments. This would also involve having guest speakers coming in, such as you guys coming in and being able to be part of those commentary times.
That would be cool, actually.
So I know Smug Kitten said something up above about how often we play versus we spectate. It could be kind of both. There's some days, depending on how the day is going, where we're always in spectate. We don't get to play as much as you think we do. There's times where we get to, depending on how many people are on, though.
I mean, today I've been able to play because we've had a couple people on one being so quiet, as well as having other admins that can take care of the situation. So it gives us each other to play, or each other a chance to play the game.
And we are still adding to our staff. We did just promote 8 new moderators that are being trial admins on server 3 and server 2 currently, so you'll see them every now and then.
Good job, guys.
So I have a
Sukio
couple
wanted
of
to add on.
questions. That's cool.
Oh, sure, go ahead, Star.
My bad. I just didn't want to interrupt anybody.
No,
So
go ahead.
my first question is do you guys know what's causing the bug where it's only happened to me once, but I just spawned in, took like 5 steps and just dropped dead?
We've actually had that happen a couple times, and we're not sure as to what's causing that.
Yeah, I mean, I posted out, and I don't know if he's on. I can't really remember the admin's name. He popped up, and he was really concerned about it, so I just didn't know if it was something that happens on the norm. And
I would suggest to you, though, Star, I'm not an admin or anything, by the way, but do you have the official IL Discord?
No, I don't think so. I just got a computer probably a month ago, and I've just been playing on your guys' server, so...
If an admin or somebody wants to link that somewhere,
I can.
you can put that as a formal suggestion. They actually have a section where if you have recordings of things like that happen, you submit it, and the actual developers of the game themselves will review it, and they will check it out and see if they can't replicate it.
There, Oil just posted it actually in the
Yeah, I
staff
just joined it.
questions.
I've seen that happen before on videos, so I'm pretty sure they are aware of it, but I'm sure the more videos they get, the easier they can replicate it. Because from the discussion I read, they weren't actually able to replicate it. So anytime something like that happens, definitely try to.
Yeah,
It's
I
not
mean the
something we can
admin was
fix.
concerned about it, so I mean it was pretty cool. I didn't expect him to help me out one bit because I wasn't gonna lie to him because he asked me what stage I was at, and I didn't want to say, "Oh, I was a full-grown T-Rex, bro." I didn't want to have that. I was close. I thought about it, I'm not gonna lie. But my last question is what are you guys? What's the plans for when mercenaries get released? How's that gonna go as far as rules for them?
Honestly,
Considering-
we're really not gonna. We haven't really talked about it as much since we don't know the implications.
Depends
and
how
what
balanced they
they're
are.
going to be. Yeah. So it probably is going to be something that we'll figure out once it comes.
Right now, the developers are actually recoding the game so that they can implement things like that. The whole bringing in the mercenaries thing is going to be taking a long time, actually, because every time they introduce new things to the game, it breaks the game. So it gives us a couple months to be able to decide when they do add them what we're going to do. Because right now, we have no idea what kind of impact they'll have at all.
I actually heard that we're gonna release as many of the dinosaurs as they could before they did anything with the human.
Also,
yeah, they were trying to do that first.
If it's okay, Negatively asked really politely to have his turn in chat. So
Okay.
Negatively, if you'd like to ask your question.
Sure. So I know currently with the body, like contesting a body or a kill, most carnivores have to 3-roar before they come contest. So my question is, what happens if, for example, you have, let's say, a carno gore, and you're playing as a pack of delos, and you can eat from that carno gore, and a Rex comes up, and that adult Rex can't necessarily eat the gore. Do they still have to 3-call to contest, or can they just run up and start biting at the delos?
That's actually a really good point that I had brought up before with some other mods, or admins. If the body is inedible, I would say that it's not contestable. If you know, like say if you're a Rex and you see the smallest score possible, I believe that it isn't contestable, so you shouldn't need to contest it. But it's still one of those where it's an awkward situation because some players don't know the differences, and some
Yeah.
people might abuse that.
Especially because you don't really want to KOS, and there's no real like rule about it. I would say in the rules. I was hoping to expand on that and maybe get that added to rules if possible.
That might be something you'd add more detail to. I mean, the general rule that like it counts as a body as long as it's edible would obviously apply, and for like in that situation for the aggressing party, the body's not edible, so he's bound by those rules.
Okay.
Would anyone else like to ask a question in the chat?
I would.
Go for it.
So I haven't gotten the game yet, but this is a basic question. But let's say I have something at adult like a Therizinosaurus, and if I leave the game and rejoin and play as the Therizinosaurus, will it stay as adult?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
As long as you safe log and wait for the timer to disappear, your Therizinosaurus is going to be there.
All right.
Unless you've broken the server somehow.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
Again, another part of that is this is an early access game. There are going to be bugs. A lot of it we can't have anything to do about. So,
I mean,
just know.
To be fair, for an early access game, this game is still really stable.
It is. I'm not
It's
saying
been
it's
out
not,
for
but there's always going to be some bugs here and there because of.
Also, I see Loxy the Foxy in the chat asking, how do you become a mod or admin on the server? So the first step is looking in staff applications. Every so often they'll put out an announcement that they're looking for staff. Recently it's been kind of more specifically targeted at EU or international staff members to cover like what is morning hours for like most people who are on US time. Just because that's kind of the area where we're lacking right now. But like I don't think, at least when I applied, that they were specifically looking for anyone and I was able to get in. And you know, you go from trial mod to moderator to admin, if that answers your question, and it's kind of like a 3-step process there, and you slowly like learn what you're doing from other staff members and get more servers that you have to take care of.
Foxy has a question.
Let me see if I can find. Foxy had said, I noticed while playing lately sometimes the game stutters, and seemingly everyone suffers the stutter at the same time. Is this a server side issue, or is it more of a game issue, or am I crazy as this has always happened?
I actually don't notice that, so.
I have never seen a stutter.
I haven't seen it. I will say, if maybe you're thinking about like last week, I know our servers were having a lot of issues and a lot of people were asking about them, so to kind of address that, once we added the 3rd server, Oil was trying to set up a 2nd box to run the servers off of, but the people who host the servers for us were having issues getting the 2nd one working, and it was a lot of strain on the 1st box initially that was creating server issues, but now that has been worked out. So hopefully, since like this last Saturday and Sunday, things have been running a lot smoother.
I will say I did experience those stutters on the V3 map with a group of us.
V3 only for me.
Yeah.
V3 can do that. V3 is known to do that.
Yeah, and it's only certain places.
If you're playing on V3, that map itself is
The map
to do that.
Yeah, the map itself actually causes issues.
And also if you're playing a large dino.
I know we passed over Tsukio. They tried to say something as well, asking if we were allowed to bring hypo dinos in, would we let them run rampant, basically. If we were ever to do something like that, it would become more of type an event or something. We might put up another server just to quickly do it if whoever wants to come, comes. I doubt we'll just let it run rampant. That just sounds like hell of a lot of work for us and hell of a lot of pain for everyone. I feel like it would be a fun thing to do, but we'll probably make it more not so crazy like that if it were to ever happen.
McTate, did you have a question?
Loxy asked if being a mod on other servers ups your chance of becoming a mod or admin.
Actually, we prefer not to have... We actually prefer that you do not be a mod or admin on any other server. We find it a little bit more time-consuming if you're trying to do both. So we actually would rather not take anyone in as a mod or admin on another server.
And that's just because we find it hard to admin on 2 different servers at the same time. Because we know that adminning on one server is hard enough as it is. And adminning on 2 servers is going to be near impossible. So we don't want to make the person have to choose between them, basically.
McTate, what was your question?
So they've recently announced the recode process of them recoding the game, and on their Steam, they've been confirming that they'll be hopefully releasing the dev kit shortly after the recoding, and they've been confirming it in their Discord as well. When that does happen, hopefully sometime soon, what would your hopes for the server be in that direction for like mods and stuff like that?
Personally, we will probably keep it straight to the vanilla. At least that's what my assumption of it, considering that I haven't even think that we've even talked about that. But in the sense of whenever it comes to custom things, like mods, the only thing I could think of is custom maps, and like really good maps. That would be the only thing I would see being worth being introduced to our servers. Because mods, they can be fun, but they can also be very straining to some people.
I would say it's also something like we have an open mind to it because I know something we've talked about now. Like we've already got 3 servers that are starting to fill up, and we're just trying to bounce around different ideas for if and when we do add a 4th one. So if there's like a good option that comes out on the table, it's always going to be something we try to look at. So who knows? Modded server question mark?
We'll see.
2020?
It's one of those things we'll just have to see when it comes out.
Yeah.
Could do modded skins too.
I know Oprah had a question.
Yeah, I was wondering, you guys plan on doing maybe like a sandbox deathmatch server at all for people to do testing and just messing around?
We honestly actually have talked about that. We've been talking a little bit about putting a sandbox in, but it's something a little bit more down the line. We honestly think if we were to put up a 4th server right now, most likely it'd be something like another V3 server, due to the other 3 servers being so populated already, and V3 being actually quite popular right now. So that might be something to think about, like down the line, is maybe a 5th server or that. But we have talked about it. It's just nothing's gone through quite yet.
I mean, we had a no rules server.
At one point.
It seemed like nobody was ever on it. So.
Yeah, no, I don't necessarily mean like no rules on, like, even if it was like the like a sandbox on the dev test server, and just people that want to mess around, like test out dinos and stuff like that.
Yeah, I would say as far as like a thought process thing, that's something, at least in the discussions I've been a part of, that we've talked about almost as more of something we could add as a bonus than like as part of like growth and development. Because like Ross said, when we tried adding one before, not that many people used it. So adding it to Hikari would probably be like more looking like another V3 map or something, and then maybe like adding a sandbox one on the side or something like that.
But nothing's in motion yet. It's more just talks at
that's
the
still
moment. But of course,
forward.
we'll announce if anything goes forward. I know Leopard had a question.
Yeah, so I remember earlier that you guys were talking about AI clumping. So why does it specifically happen when there's 100 or more players in a server?
It's just something that the game itself has not been fixed or made for. So it's just not. It's something that the devs themselves are fixing. They know about, but that's one of the reasons they're doing the full recode, because of little issues and things like these. It's nothing we can handle. It's just something that happens on the game side. It's just not optimized for it.
I had a slight question about like packs. It's about if 2 packs joined up into make like this one mega pack, but they were both like split up.
We don't allow, with groups, you can only have the pack limit in a group in general. You cannot be together in any way, you cannot know each other in any way, you cannot follow each other in any way.
Oh, okay.
Needler had a question for Oil.
Yeah, I was just wondering if his hair is actually like it is in the picture. If he's like slick top or what.
Hey, Oil, you bald?
No.
No.
That's a massive disappointment.
That's the most disappointing thing I've heard all day.
That's so fun.
RCSU asked if we have any form of scheduling for the events, or is it more of just a sporadic on the day decision? Would anyone like to take that one?
I think we try to plan one every other day, but
not necessarily. We
yeah.
have certain days for sure. So Wednesdays, Fridays, and Saturdays, we will for sure always be doing an event of some sort. Otherwise, we try to plan them. They're more sporadic at that point throughout the other days.
It was really scheduled at first, but now
And
it's
then
been more towards how many admins that we can actually have active on across all servers without like leaving servers empty while doing an event on the other one. So we don't want to do an event on 3 and leave 2 and 1 completely empty.
Yeah, because it's really important to us to try and have at least one person server while we're doing it.
Things like, especially things like the migration events and so on, it takes a lot of us to watch and do and teleport and grow and write down and we have spreadsheets that we do for every event that we actually coordinate with. It's quite involved, and because of that, it all depends on well.
Yeah.
I've got another question here for Oil from Negatively. So why do they call you Oil then? Do you put olive oil in your thick, luscious hair?
It's
You
from
didn't
Russ.
actually. You didn't have to read that one out loud, man.
Oh, but he did.
I did. If you put it in the chat, it might get read out loud.
I do have a question regarding the tournament, though. Would it be possible for during the tournaments? I know you guys do the server announcements for who's fighting who.
Yes.
Would it be possible to add like what dino it is, so that you know who's playing
Yeah.
what dino?
We could do that. That's fine.
So that you know, like if you're cheering for one person, you can be like, "Oh, that's the white," or like, "Oh, that's the red and black Rex."
I understand that. We could do something like that.
I do know in one tournament it was a free for all, and they did put after they put the names, they said 2 gigas and 3 Rex, or 2 Rexes, 3 gigas. But it was only one time, and I like that.
But we could do something like that. That's not very hard to do.
We had an incoming question from Winter Golden 99.
What are your thoughts on the servers that are copying you guys, like the fake Isla Nublar servers?
Well, we had an issue at one point where we had a bunch of them, but we actually did get in contact with a official server admin, and they were taken down. Right now, I know there is still one more up, which we could always try to mess with, though we already told our player base about it. So it's not that big of a deal at this point, just as long as no more come up.
I was just wondering. Yeah, thank you.
I mean, it is.
Foxy.
It's not our server, as long as people know that it's definitely not our server. So.
Foxy had a question for us. It says, I know that when people play AI, they tend to die randomly or fall through the map, or so I heard. If that is fixed, will people be allowed to play those again?
The reason we don't do AI dinosaurs is not necessarily for anything like that. It's more for the fact that we've had issues before when we did make people AI dinos, where they would get immediately killed or KOS'd and just walked away because it's an AI. Those rules don't apply to AI. And how are people to know that you are not an AI? But then people got mad and so on because of these things happening, and it just was something that we ruled that it just wasn't worth it. But every now and then we do still do things like the other day we nested a couple Avas in, and just for fun, we do have some things like that. But otherwise, that's the reason why we don't.
It's a very rare time that we actually would nest. The Avas was actually the first one, and everybody knows going in that you have the potential of being KOS'd immediately because you are AI. And it's a very rare thing that we do.
Also, we have a question from Dragon Lord asking if we have ever considered staff that are just event specific. Hikari, would you care to take that one?
We have considered some things in that regard, but at that point we feel like they wouldn't be as much part of staff, because events don't happen all the time, and if they do, it's 1 or maybe 2 a day, and even then it's not even a day, it's every couple of days, and we don't want to have someone in staff that feels like they're really not part of staff just because they only can do events. So that's why we have our actual main, as well as with those, we're going to have to do things like they're still going to have admin on the server to be able to do that. And if we had them for only events, every single time that we had an event, we would have to restart the server to add them as admin onto the server to do that. And it's just, it would be too much.
The hard part also is that we're all human and we don't get paid or anything to do this. This is all voluntary for us. And it's extremely cool to see how many people we have. It's just, we also have our own lives. So dedicating people to do that doesn't always mean that we're going to be able to be there 24/7 for those times.
Wintergold, did you want to ask your question in voice?
No, I already had my question out. It was just about the AI. But thank you for your time.
Well, thank you.
Doom wants to know our top 3 dinos. Mine is Anki.
We
Oh,
just did
well,
that.
well,
That
I didn't
was
say.
way back.
All right,
Oh,
Baller,
yeah,
it's your
Baller,
turn. What are your
I didn't
top
say.
five?
I didn't get a chance. Mine are Anki. Nice.
Anki and Anki.
And yeah, I would say Anki,
Hmm.
Baryonyx, and Maya.
I was gonna say Anki 3 times at that point.
What's your favorite map?
Ooh, that's a good one.
I would say V3 more.
I like Thin, y'all. V3 just feels so plain to me right now.
I actually would have to say I prefer Thenya, even though V3 is a beautiful map.
I prefer V3 for carnivore and Danielle for herbivore. That's just me.
I prefer Thenya, I think.
I prefer V3 if I just want to chill out and walk around and whatnot. But if I want to fight people, then Ya's the way to go because you're going to get in a fight no matter what.
Pseudo asked if we'd be willing to take suggestion for events ideas. And completely, yes, put that in suggestions. We would love to have event ideas if you have them. Well, a lot of the events that we've had have been people coming to talk to us about things, and we talk it over and figure things out.
The migration event was suggested.
It was. So if you do have any ideas, put it in suggestions. We would love to see them.
Yeah, we read suggestions if you guys have them. We do read them.
And to kind of address that, since it's not in our questions for this, but something I've seen is a lot of people asking, like, how do we know if the admins have like actually looked at our suggestions, because it's not always commented on or addressed. Like, if we see one with a lot of votes, it might not get put out that we're actually looking at it. But for example, like some of the pack limit suggestions, we talked about at the last staff meeting. It's just we haven't necessarily come to a final decision on it. And we don't always like give up to the minute updates on stuff like that, but we love getting them.
Some of these things get talked about for a long time. You just get debated on for a long time.
It does.
They get put it out.
That, and you have to understand, we don't want to keep changing the rules constantly. So if we do discuss a bunch of them, we'll do it all at once.
And the reason why they get debated on for a long time is because we keep seeing a lot of ups and downs and ups and downs. People keep bringing them up and saying, "Hey, I see, this being a potential, problem where there's potential ups."
Sorry. Over the summer, let's say from May to around August 13th to 15th, I will be not in school. But after that, I was just wondering, how could I get in to be like an admin or a trial mod for the time?
We just discussed, but
Yeah,
there
yes.
is a staff application. You would just have to put it there in your application, just to clarify, basically.
Alright, thank you.
I know we missed a couple up. See? Well, just to add on to what Smug said, because Smug said that they've been on servers where events were held where everyone was like the same dino. We've had things like that, but we've thought of things like that, but we have to understand, if we made everyone the same dino and we had almost 100 people do that, we would have to refund so many dinos.
Yeah,
and that was one of the reasons we haven't really done those types.
Yeah, the first iteration of the migration event was one dino group versus another. Like we had like Packies versus Dilos.
Yeah.
So it was, yeah.
Because we want everybody to have their dino back after the event. We don't want everybody to come to the event and lose whatever they brought. That would be kind of sad.
I think that's actually a really good idea. Negatively, is having kind of scheduled rule updates. We're trying to make it more structured. It's just with the game in flux, I think it's been hard to do that in the past. Maybe one of the senior admins or community managers could give a better perspective on that, though.
Sukio has a question.
We could do something like that, that's fine, but not... There's just so much that happens.
Yeah, exactly.
We could try to do something like that, of course, and try to do more of like a list of all the changes that happened.
So Sukio?
Oh yeah, Sukio did have a question.
Whoa.
Sukio?
Does your server have a dark side?
Oh, jeez.
What do you mean a dark side?
Harbinger, for your question, could you be more specific? Because, like, right now we have the MESIC spot. Do you mean, like, moderating channels, or what? Have we had any discussion about having additional bots to perform various tasks in the Discord, such as moderating channels or anything like that?
Not necessarily.
So to specify Sukio's question, they said, do you have a dark side to the server, such as like something we know that everybody else doesn't? I'm gonna say no, because we are players just like you guys, and pretty much we're here to help make it a better time.
I mean, I will say on that, like, with how much you guys have helped, like, the servers grow, like, maybe we can start having more interaction with devs and stuff like that, but we have no idea about that, and that's completely on them. And then, you know, if we start getting more information, I think whatever we're allowed to, we'd like to feed down to you guys. Like, there's no, like, there's no cards we're hiding behind our back, though, as far as for the time being.
Yeah, Needler, that's just a bug. All you have to do is bite the ground and you should be able to nest.
I just want to say thank you for your time. Now I have to go, but
have a good night.
It was nice talking to you guys.
Yeah, have a good night.
See ya.
What can we do for you, Raptor God?
Yeah, my son, Mr. Arms, is trying to apply for admin, and you know what? I didn't even answer that question.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
All right, do you
sorry, your mic is
Raptor God.
a little.
Raptor God,
do you mind
either
typing
got
that
a
one
voice
out?
mod going on, or
You cannot understand you. You're being nice. You sound like you swallowed a cock. I need
He
you
lives in a
I need you
theater.
to type that out.
Yeah, you might want to type that one out, Raptor.
No, shh, shh,
Alright.
shh. It's okay, it's okay.
You
Just type.
can type it if you like.
No, never mind.
Holy.
I forgot my question.
Raptor.
Alright, Raptor.
Type it.
He forgot his
Talking
question.
more.
That's what
I forgot my question. He's alright.
Jesus Christ.
Oh Lord.
with all due respect, Raptor, please, if you wouldn't mind typing it, we would really appreciate that.
Look at my nose all
So what
brown
is
here.
this? Because I logged on, I saw like 100 people in one call, and I was really interested. And
This
I'm
is a
surprised.
Q&A.
It's just a Q&A.
Yeah,
It's a seminar.
You guys
Yeah,
can
but-
ask us anything you want to about the like plans for the server, what we like about the
If you just want
game.
to talk to about
If
us,
you want to ask us
or
like personal questions
Don't
that
make
are
it
within
sound
reason, so
boring.
you can get to know us better, just anything you want.
Chisel, why are you so bad at rock, paper, scissors? You always go rock
Mm.
first.
My dad beat me, so I can only make a fist with my right hand.
Oh my.
When will herbivores gain the right to curve stomp carnos that are anywhere on the map?
That's something we're part of the discussions we're still having.
Damn.
Yeah, obviously,
issue
like
with
there was a
that
huge set of rules that was voted on for the herb stuff, and we introduced one of them. And I think a lot of staff want to see how that one plays out individually, rather than making a massive sweeping change and not really know what's, like, being able to pinpoint what's affecting gameplay.
I see.
The issue with us being allowing, if we allowed herbivores to curb stop any carnivore they see, it would encourage KOSing. And more people would play herbivore just for the fact of getting to KOS. So there are some things that we have to consider. What would make the ground level for both parties? Because imagine you playing a trike and running up to, I don't know, a Serato who's doing nothing, and just get curb stomped, and he wasn't even close or interacting with the trikes, but the trikes saw.
He was in my general vicinity, and he had
Right.
teeth.
It would be an issue.
It's
I'd
just
enjoy to
it's
see
too
that.
much of that.
Yeah, as much as I'd like to argue that, I would definitely choose a Chimera and go stomping everything
Yeah,
in
I mean,
sight.
maybe Trike and
But
Chimera
that's the
aren't
issue.
even the best like examples, but if you can imagine a Theri just sprinting around at 40 kilometers an hour and just one-shotting all the mid-tier carnivores on the map, like that's not exactly a fun time.
I don't know. I hear Chimera's good for midnight strolls through the forest at fast pace.
Bro, in the dead of night, I bring a Chimera to party fields, and I've killed so many carnivores there. They attack me first, so I'm not breaking any rules, but I'm definitely there to kill shit.
Alright, so
to
Foxy
add
had
on-
another
Yep,
question.
Foxy.
In the future or far future, maybe after the code rewrite, will special dino players be able to nest others, or will we need to wait until they are put on the survival dino list? What do you mean by that exactly?
I think maybe because our rule, you only nest in one baby, or something like
Well,
that.
the reason we do something like that is just because the dinos themselves are not finished. They're not done. Some of them are extremely broken. They are either things like that, yes. So we do it to keep the population down because they are not fixed yet. And we just can't have 40 billion Spinos because someone can nest as many as they want in.
Back when I first joined the server, I joined way back in January, and we had an incident of around 20 plus Spinos in the server.
Yes,
and
we did.
It was a very big problem. So we decided we're gonna limit back as to how many can nest.
And we do allow people to nest every now and then. It's just, it depends on the population already, that kind of.
It sounded like somebody had a question. Voice?
Yeah, me. So, is there actually a limit to how many people can join per server?
Well, yes, there is limits to the server. For server 1 and server 3, it is 115. For server 2, it is 150.
Because of bandwidth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not unlimited.
And it's not free, so what's up.
Dracorex has a question. He's wondering how spread out everyone is over the globe. I'm assuming he kind of means on the staff. Do any staff members care to share what regions they live in, at least?
America.
I think.
I mean, we're all mostly American-based.
Yeah.
West Coast.
Planet Earth.
Dylan's my
do
neighbor.
We do have a couple international
That's
ones.
weird.
Well, actually, a
but I
lot of
think
them
everyone
are
that's
now.
Yeah, I think everyone that's here is American-based right now. But we do have, I know. Let's see. We've got Snoo. We've got
Rattel.
Rattel.
Doozle.
Fork. Doozle. I know a lot of our people are actually.
A lot of the new mods are either EU or otherwise. EU
J-Russ.
Oceanic.
Melorama, J-Russ. So we do have people that are.
EU. And just for the record, it's pronounced Dracorets.
Oh, my bad.
Oil.
Don't feel bad.
Question?
Everyone confuses.
Hey, Oil, you have a question? When are we getting a face reveal?
I think that's a question from everybody,
Oil.
including the staff.
I've already seen his face.
I respect your privacy, Oil.
Yeah, Oil, who the hell are you?
His rights to privacy have been forfeit.
Are you really the cleaning guy? Or is there more to this?
Here's a quick, easy question, probably from Smug Kitten. If you have a player in your group causing problems, how long after they get kicked do you need to reasonably wait to eat them?
I would say you gotta let them leave the area. Like, you can't just kick them and kill them right away.
Okay, a follow-up to that, actually. What if they're one calling their asses off, like in a herd or in a group?
You tell them to leave. Once you kick them from the group, tell them to leave, 3 call them. If they do not move, then it's fair game.
So I actually have an incident myself where I've done that. When I actually play the game, I had an incident where somebody kept, one calling in the area. So I defriended them from the group, and I 3-called them, and I chased after them, but I did not attack them. And they didn't move, they didn't go anywhere, they just continued to do it. So I 3-called them again and bit them the second time, because now that I have warned them and given them a chance to leave, now I can attack them. As long as you give them a reasonable chance to leave, and I don't mean like, I'm going to 3-call you, wait maybe 2 seconds, and then 3-call you again. Give them like a moment, tell them, hey, leave the area or I'm going to kill you, kind of thing. And then you can go ahead and engage.
I got another one from Caesar. Would you guys entertain the idea of lowering the Spino pack limit to 2 on V3, because Spino is a pretty OP dino? For that, I would say to make a suggestion. And then the main thing is, like, people bring good points for why we should do that, because we kind of, I think right now we're pretty happy with where the pack limits are, but there's been some that have been really hotly debated. And I know most of the staff like actually read through what people are saying and like try and take into consideration. A good general rule is, though, for comparison, like when we're looking at that, because a lot of the suggestion discussion I see is like, well, it stinks when you're a solo Rex and you get ganged up on by 9 Dilos on V3. Well, I think most of the staff look at it as a balancing thing, is like 3 Rexes versus 9 Dilos, not the 9 versus 1. Like max pack versus max pack. But anyone here can correct me if I'm wrong.
No,
yeah, well, I mean, a single Rex can still do a lot of damage to the pack of Dilos. So you gotta be smart about it.
The issue about Dilos that a lot of people complain about, and I will say this myself as being a player Dilo myself, is it's all about coordination. I understand that a lot of y'all people are frustrated about it, but it's one of those situations where if you are very well coordinated whenever it comes to an attack, you can easily take them out. But it's the fact that they're able to coordinate when they attack and know where your weak points are, that they can effectively take you out.
Or because it's night and you literally can't see them.
Oh, that's another thing. But when you have multiple people in your group, like take, what's a good example? I think it's elephants that do that. They literally stand in a circle with their young in the middle. I think it's the elephants that do it. When you're playing big creatures, you can do that and cover all the ground. But if you're by yourself or, alone, or only have 2 people, you have to make up for those weak points that you have. And it sucks whenever a weak dino has the advantage of numbers over you and the dilo has the bleed advantage over you. You have to make up being able to cover those weak points with other people.
Let's see.
Foxy's addressing nesting limits in the questions about keeping nesting limits down for special dinos, like the limit for Spinos, but not some others. I think that's something that's already in there. Maybe we could add more detail to it if people think that's a good idea, but for most non-survival dinos, the nesting limit's just 1 per, and then obviously there's the list of Ostros, Berries, and Herreras that can do as many as they'd like. And then there's stuff like the Shants and the Spinos that typically aren't allowed to nest. If I'm misinterpreting your question, though, please feel free to rephrase it.
Honestly, there's a good chance we might never let people nest Shants or Spinos. Unless it's us as admins nesting them. That's just not something we're going to do.
We've let it happen before.
We have let it happen before, but there's a good chance we most likely will not. It would be an extremely, extremely rare circumstance. Otherwise, we do allow all the other ones, things like what you say, Anki, and so on, but we want to keep the population down, so we allow 1.
Yeah, people like to abuse nesting in Spinos and Shants. Yeah. I had a guy nesting like 20 Spinos in one night before, when the server was still new.
So I'll answer Negatively's question, considering I had gotten the nickname Mother Pue for a while. So Negatively asked why are Pues not allowed to be purchased by players. Puertas can literally do nothing, and they one-shot every single dinosaur. There was a time when I literally sat there for about 10 to 15 minutes being attacked by 8 or 9 different Apex players. And it took forever just to get me down to 3 screen. What killed me sooner than them biting me was hunger. If I the reason why we don't let players play Pue is because 1, they can literally kill everything. 2, you cannot eat, you cannot drink, you cannot sit, you cannot nest. You can do nothing except walk around and scream. That's it.
When you walk around, you have the possibility of killing other players.
Actually, the Puerta does not have trample damage. I have tested this. But we don't let them players because it's literally pointless and then people get bored of it very quickly. We've had it in the past. And they're really good for beacon points whenever it comes to being in events. So an admin will use the Puerta for the beacon point only. Us as admins can't play it.
We got another good question that maybe a few admins can chime in on. So what dinos would you like to see added to the game? For me, I want to see more dinos that encourage team play. We've touched on Dilos. I know everyone hates those, but more mid-tier dinos that are fun and viable.
I want to see the compy.
Yeah.
I would like to see an
dinos that are fun and
Archaeopteryx.
viable.
Ooh,
I'd also like to see some underwater dinosaur play.
I want to see the Irritator.
I wouldn't mind seeing aquatic dinos. That would be neat. More
I want to play Mozo.
aquatics, but that would
the
require a new
Mozo,
map.
that'd be neat.
I mean, really anything. I think anything that would bring in a unique play style would be really cool too.
That's why I'm excited for the flyers, though. I'm confused about how that's gonna go, but it'll be.
Just one more interesting herbivores, I guess.
I would like to see a Megalosaurus or some small flyers like a Dimorphodon or something like that, or
about terror birds.
Just to kind of give people some inside knowledge, I did read on a wiki that potentially the the Bronodon is actually going to be a AI. It's actually in the wiki if you want to go look at it for yourself. So that doesn't mean that the Bronodon will actually be a playable dinosaur anymore.
Would anyone on the staff care to discuss the opinion on gender swaps for dinos right now?
For any dino or just non-survival?
Specifically for survival, question from Mr. Noss.
I feel like it goes along with like the whole nesting coordination. We don't want a huge herd of shants.
Well, no, for survival.
Oh, for survival.
So if you wanted to switch, like you have a male and you want a female, honestly, it comes down to the fact that in the regular game, if you were to want to change your dino, you would have to die and go over again. And because of that, if you want to change your gender, we believe that you have to pay for it, just like everyone else does for a whole new dino. Because it is a whole new dino.
And Dr. Twitch, I think you would give a good answer for this one. What dino do you recommend for a new player of the game?
Oh, for a new player? So for new players, the Dilo is an interesting one to start off with.
Oh god, no.
But I personally would recommend saying that you start off with the Carno. It's not very good for solo play. The Suko is a very good one, but it's also very slow.
Very slow. You could do an Aloe. Aloe's
An Aloe is very fun.
Aloe or Serato, both really good.
A Galley is very fun. It also depends if you want to play Carnivore or Herbivore. Herbivore is very difficult to play by yourself, especially as a new player. Because
Galleys
you
would
are...
probably be the best one to do if you wanted to do solo.
I really like Diablos.
Galleys, Dryos, and Packies.
I would say personally like Galley for Herbivore and Utah for Carnivore, just because you can run really quick and you can use high ground.
Utahs and Carnos are what I would recommend as a first-time player for Carnivores.
I think for
I actually don't
Herbivore,
think I've
Diablo.
ever seen a Utah try and fight something.
But that can be good for new players though, because I think one of the big things for new players, like if you're trying to get a friend into the game, you want something where they're going to be playing in a group and they can pick up tips from a bunch of different people and kind of accelerate their learning and be able to dive fully into the game and have some buddies to watch their back.
The difficult part about this game is that I'm a hardcore survival game player. Back whenever survival was getting like really top tier, I owned all of them. And a lot of people don't understand that the Isle is a very, very brutal game whenever it comes to the genre survival. So for new players, having to go through that many deaths of that many dinosaurs and discovering your style of gameplay is a very touchy subject. You have to go through a lot of hours before you finally find the right one.
What about this one? Would do you guys think the staff would ever consider making a channel specifically for in-game screenshots?
Yes, actually, we've talked about that, and I would love to do that. And honestly, I might do that right after this, to be honest,
Bring
because
back
we
me-
did
bring
talk
back
about
me.
that. No, we're not bringing back. Me. We did talk about that, and I actually do really want to see that because I feel like that would be very neat. And I don't know, I would like. I like the game, and I like to see everything that goes on with it. So I think it would be a really fun thing to have everyone's screenshots in one place.
We have a question coming in from Leopard in voice channel.
Maybe.
Maybe.
All right.
So, okay, but hold on, I'm gonna have to take a minute to remember this.
Well, while you take a moment to remember that, we'll go ahead and bounce over to Bulk's question. Bulk had asked, what was the first dinosaur you guys ever played?
Mine was Para.
Mine was a Utah.
I had the Parasaur. I was actually nested in the very first day I played. I played a para, someone nested me, and it was still a para. So I got to play from hatchling to adult.
I was a Utah, and it was this server. And I remember walking by a Suko, and I was so confused what the fuck it was. At that time, it was a non-survival dino, because they weren't actually implemented in the game. And I couldn't figure out what it was, because it wasn't listed in the survivals. And I was like, I just kept yelling that it's a Spino without a spine. I couldn't figure it out. And I remember that like yesterday.
Yeah. Mine was a Diablo, and I spent all day getting across the map on Thenya to get to one of my friends. And when we met up, we got adapted by some Theries. And then we all started one calling in celebration and then got ambushed by Spinos. Fun time.
I have short-term remembering loss, so I don't even
Wow,
remember what I
I
did
see.
yesterday. So.
I stayed is not part of this question.
I just remember dying a lot 24/7.
Alright, so Leopard said that he was able to remember his question. So what do we got for us?
So, when I buy dinosaurs, do I have to do it through Discord or the game itself?
Discord.
If you're trying to
It's all
buy
done through
in terms
Discord.
of donation,
Okay.
it's done through PayPal. There's a link in the Discord under donations if you wanted to do that. Otherwise, we could use the donation points, which you can earn directly on the Discord itself. Or, sorry, Discord points, that you can earn directly on the Discord itself.
Yeah, okay, thank you.
We got another question coming in from Loxy the Foxy. Question for all admins and mods. What dino do you think suits you most?
Anki.
Yeah, Baller's Anki. Absolutely. First thing I ever saw him play, the only thing I ever saw him play.
It's just Anki.
Probably Herrera.
Yes, I like it.
Herrera.
I really like the Giga. I really like playing solo Giga and being able to outrun the other Apexes as long as I don't get snuck up on by a Rex and Apex. Moving the cap to 3 of them on V3 has made life a little tougher, but, you know, that's just something you gotta adapt, improvise, and overcome, like our Lord and Savior Bear Grylls taught us.
Oh my god.
I'm gonna have to say, for me, the Stego is probably my favorite to play. If it was a survival, I would take the time every day to grow it, no matter how many times I died.
Twitch, I can't decide. Tell me, what do you think suits
You're a galley.
How the hell? Alright, how? How so?
Okay, a little bit of backstory for everybody that's here. When I first met Hikari, before she became a community manager, she played galley every day.
Every day.
Every day. When she was moderating, she would play a galley and would get killed by players trying to help them and would
Constantly!
regrow that galley.
Admin, I'm stuck. Chomp. What the fuck?
So I'm gonna say
Sorry,
Hikari is a
it
galley
triggers.
no matter
It's
what.
a trigger. It's a trigger.
Alright, calm down there.
I'm good. It's a trigger.
Flashbacks.
You have no idea how many people I tried to go help, and as soon as I got there, their entire group ate me.
PTSD.
It is PTSD.
Never had it happen yet.
Do you have any more questions from everybody?
We just reached the hour mark for this.
I have a
Yeah,
comment.
we're probably gonna be wrapping up soon, but if anyone else has like last minute questions.
I have a comment.
I just want to say thank you to all the mods and admins for everything you do to help the servers run smoothly and help out regular players like us when we have issues.
Good
So,
job.
big shout out and big thanks to all you guys.
Thank you.
Well, thank you.
I do want to get to
Oh,
Harbingers because he's asked that a couple
he did say it a couple times, and we just haven't been able to. If the AI bug is ever fixed and we could, then most likely we will. But it also depends on how hard it hits the server as well. So if our box can handle it or how much it'll take from us. But we'll try to.
What was the question?
He wants to know if the AI bug is ever fixed, if it'll increase the server size of like V3.
Smug Kitten's got a question for us. She said, "What is all of our least favorite dinosaur to deal with?" I'm gonna say, even though I love playing them, Ceratos. Them little suckers can get you.
What did I say?
I hate Dilos.
I say Raptors.
I was gonna say Dilo.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Utah Raptors too. Actually,
They buy you and they just hide on the rock. Like,
I probably have to say, in terms of like the most issues I have, it's either going to be Rexes or Delos.
What?
we have a good non-dinosaur related question. What is everyone's favorite Joker, Heath Ledger or Jack Nicholson?
Ledger.
Ledger.
Yeah, I think we're all from the Heath Ledger generation. Sorry.
Heath Ledger's the only acceptable answer.
Jack
Well,
Nicholson
there you go.
voice though from the animated
The Jack
series.
Nicholson voice is great, but Ledger just captures the insanity aspect.
What about
I-
Hamill?
I like Heath Ledger's Joker, but Jared Leto made a pretty convincing Joker, to be honest.
He did.
Dude, Oprah, my boy, you getting a shout out in the chat for saying that after I did. Love you, man.
We got a question from Wasabi. He said, "What's the weirdest thing you've come across or dealt with in the servers?"
Didn't we have that guy ask if he could go poop? the
Yeah,
other
somebody asked me on server 1. They asked if it was okay to poop when other dinosaurs were in the area.
Probably the weirdest I've ever dealt with is some of the threats that I received from some people.
Yeah.
Oh, those
I
are
have a
fun.
couple trophies.
Oh yeah.
I agree.
I don't know. People are pretty good with me.
Mr. Perfect.
I don't know. People
Just
don't
kidding,
hate
I don't
me as
remember.
much.
Rosebro asked a question. How long have you all been playing The Isle? Well, just from becoming staff on the server, this game is about to become my #1 played game, and my #1 played game has over 400 hours on it, and that was
That's
over a
it?
course of 7
That's
Sad.
weak sauce.
That's some weak
Weak.
shit right there.
I have a
boy.
life, thank you. Yes,
Um,
only 400 hours. I play a lot of games spread out, but 400 hours is my most played game on Steam, and The Isle is about to hit the 400 mark, and that's within 4 months. So I'm really scared to see how many is going to happen.
yeah.
I mean, just the
Another
one,
Isle
Fortnite.
itself, I have over 700 in the Isle, but
I've
otherwise,
got
like,
like
I remember.
Ark
I've got
has
about
like
1,000
1700 or something like that. So
Yeah, I only have about 300 in the Isle, but I'm kind of like Twitch. Like, I've been a connoisseur of survival games probably since like 2010, and this is just the next one on the list, and hopefully the glorious developers will keep adding to the game and making it fun, and we can get that up over 1,000, no problem.
I just want some aquatic things,
I mean-
like besides Suchos.
Yeah, I mean,
Excuse
for me,
me for having a life.
I've played this game
Love
for.
you, Twitch.
I think I'm coming up on 300 hours myself, but this is nowhere near gonna ever come close to my hours in Oblivion, and we're not gonna even talk about it.
We
How
all
do I,
know
how do
that.
I apply? Actually,
I
My
really-
Skyrim hours. I don't even want to talk about that. I feel like
Yeah.
that's just
We
wasting
won't
away.
talk about how long I've been playing
Oh my
MMOs.
god.
Yeah, I've been
Oh,
playing.
and WoW. Don't even
Yeah,
talk
WoW.
about
I'm on WoW
7,
right
8
now.
years of that shit.
Yeah, I've been playing WoW
Yeah.
since, like, Burning Crusade.
I think I've got
Yeah.
over 1,300 days played on one character on WoW, so
Right?
oof.
What is happening with you people? Stop.
My heart, my
What do
life.
you mean? I
You've
think
either
I've
got
been
you've either got bitch numbers or like terrifying. Have you seen the
Sad,
sun
sad.
recently? Numbers.
Quite sad.
So guys,
you know-
do we have any more questions before we go ahead and start closing off the Q&A?
How do I become staff? Whose PP I gotta suck?
You don't go to staff
Mine.
applications.
Applications.
Check out the applications.
Hold on, where actually is that? Because I'm dead serious.
It's in
It's
the
right
tab.
above.
Yeah, this isn't the first time it's come up.
Oh, I
since
see it.
So I'll keep it short. But yeah, staff applications. Look for what they're asking for, because right now, like especially looking for international people, make a good application, put some effort into it, and you'll probably get looked at.
Alright.
Also look
If you
into
literally just say yes and no, there's a good chance we're gonna delete it. Just
Alright, well, I've never put that little amount of effort in anything besides a relationship, so I think I'll be fine.
all right.
Big oof.
Big oof indeed.
And
No,
no,
Nos, there is not a donation
not
for
at all.
staff.
Just because you donate to a server does not make you special in any way. You are still on even grounds, just like everybody.
You might notice a few days ago I put in a suggestion to give non-donator staff gold donator, and even some of them voted it down because we have a lot of staff who haven't donated anything. So that's definitely not a prerequisite to be a member of staff. Like if you just look through the admins online now, it's about 50-50, and some of the ones that have donated are like just silver or so.
Honestly, I didn't even donate until I became staff.
I mean, the biggest thing would be like kind of demonstrating that you're mature, and then having the time to commit to the game.
And Booty, what you just said, so we actually did buy another for the servers. Like we said, the 3 servers, instead of being all on one server and weighing each other down, because server 2 is having over thousands of pings for every single person, we separated it. We bought a whole new box to put one server on and have the other zone. So we are using it for the servers too.
I spend all of the cut that I get on cheesecake. Unfortunately, right now I don't get a cut, so if you guys could maybe
Yeah,
donate
so-
more and make Oil give me a salary, that'd be pretty cool.
Nah. But we
I'm gonna spend mine on a
don't
better.
really
Cheezel, is there a petition I can sign for that?
Jack Leaf, there really isn't any
Maybe in the
perks. We
future.
don't. I mean,
I'll
every
put
now
it in
and then,
suggestions.
most of the mod and stuff, they do have to go and buy like any if they so on. They buy them just like everyone else does. It's not just like a for just being staff.
We don't have any special.
We'll allow a couple little things like we joke around a little. We can mess around a little bit more between, but there's not really any specific perks that any of us have.
So Hikari's cutting in and out really bad for me, so I'm gonna go ahead and insert this. Is that the perks that we do and don't have is we get to babysit the server and kind of get to play the game like everybody else. That's our perks.
I mean, like
Most
for
of
me
the time we
personally, I really enjoy conflict resolution. So like, that's like part of the game for me now. Like I enjoy helping you guys.
To kind of add on to
Like,
Jack
I
Lee's
still
question.
don't- I still
Oh.
grow my dinosaurs and stuff like that, like everybody else does and stuff.
Jack Leaf wanted to add to the statement. Have you ever seen an admin or moderator abuse their power? I've seen it before, and we immediately take care of that because we don't allow abuse of power here. We're all equal grounders. We have our own rules that we have to abide as well.
Yeah, you guys
Only
can't see it,
ones.
but there's a whole like separate set of rules and guidelines for the staff. And a lot of that's dealing with situations, but also like staff do get reported as well, and those are taken a lot more seriously even than like your average report, because we want to hold people on staff to a higher standard, obviously, because we should be like good representatives for the community.
Yeah, like we don't get warnings and stuff like that. We just get banned. So
We get banned 7 weeks, like a month. I'm just kidding.
Yeah,
yeah, there's
admins
that.
are a
We
little
don't
bit
get
more.
warnings.
Yeah, instead of giving warnings and kicks, if we see something like that, they get bans.
There's a
It's
reason
not
there's
so-
there's a reason there's a belt emoji on the server.
Foxy had asked us, do content creators have some influence in reports or anything? I'm not going to say names, but it's like I like to sit in reports and report discussion a lot, and I do see instances of someone using that role to say they know the admins better. That's not true. We don't give people influence in reports. The influence you might see is the fact that they have a proof of a situation. but not because they know us better, but maybe because they actually have the situation recorded.
Yeah, they're always streaming most of the time, so they always will have a video. But it doesn't like influence, just like to like make them win the situation, I guess.
I can promise you I have many warnings and so on record for
100%. Like, the best way to get your reports dealt with is to have video evidence. And then, like, if you're in game and you, like, especially if you can't record, like, try and, if you see a sketchy situation starting to pop off, like, don't be shy. Call an admin over. Like, that's what we're there for. And if you can prevent the situation, that's all the better, because it's more work for us, honestly, if it does happen, than if you call us over early and, you know, we can prevent it.
I would say the video evidence is almost a requirement now, because word of mouth isn't really good enough.
Yeah,
when
it's
people
hard to do.
spend 8 hours growing a dino, it's not like we want to take that away from somebody if like a false claim happens. So I would say, if you can record, do it, and if you can't, find somebody who can.
One of the main reasons we don't do a word of mouth situation is that, say a party hates on one particular person who did absolutely nothing wrong, and if that party puts together an entire story against that hated person will be punished for something that they might have never done. So we need to see if that's actually true or not.
Yeah, we can't deal with situations we have not seen. If we haven't seen it or there's no video proof, we, really can't.
I'm gonna
do
get
anything
in
about
a
it.
couple questions right now just to get quick answers to get some things done. Harbinger, if you have questions about that, I don't think this is the right place for it. If you would like to, we can always go into a separate call or so on and talk to you more about it. I just don't think this right here is a good idea to bring up. More of a personal thing, full question. For Mantis, I would say we are an NA server, we are a North American server, that is where most of our users do come from. Yes, we've talked about things like European, but you have to understand this is where most of us are, and I don't think we're ready to go anywhere near that far with the staff that we have.
And we've already kind of touched on it, but one of the big priorities right now is definitely adding staff from other areas. So even though our servers are NA based, we can try and get coverage like day and night for everyone, regardless of what time zone you play in. And like it was mentioned earlier, a lot of the new moderators, like they're still kind of working their way up, but a lot of them are people from different time zones to try and give better coverage.
We understand that it's difficult that at night, especially in the late hours for America, that none of us are on, but it's why we have been trying to get a lot of more European people, because we're not based there, but we still want to have that a little bit of leeway of being able to be covered at that time, because we all got to sleep at some point. There's been times I've pulled 27-hour nights trying to stay up just so that I can cover you guys.
We've got oh, sorry, go ahead, Twitch.
You're fine. I was dying in the background anyways.
Oh.
To kind of add on to Woodley Scudd's question, what are some of the most frustrating things you deal with as admins? There's times, like I'd said, I've gone 27 hours without sleep, 26 hours without sleep, and I'll stress hardcore because I'm the only person on one server, and I've got every person on the server asking for me, while at the same time I have to do dinosaur requests and being screamed at for that. So, and that's probably a blanket cover of all the admins saying that's probably the most frustrating thing.
We're
Actually, I think the most frustrating thing is when somebody types in a global in full caps, admin help, and I jump into spectate, start whooshing around the map like Superman trying to find the problem, and then then I'm like, wait, what's up, dude? And they say, slay me, please.
That's my favorite. Admin!
I love that
give
analogy.
Yeah.
I start swooping around the map.
Can you spawn in food for me?
It's just a Utah on top
Finding
of the rock. I can't
food,
get
door
to it.
breaks, overpacking. And then there's a lot of the times.
Friends.
Admin, can you make it day?
Yep, make it day.
Can
Make
you
the rain
skip
stop.
meeting?
Like, and I know it can be hard to get our attention at times, but like that is kind of like part of the issue with that. Like, we try and treat, like, whenever somebody calls us in chat, like, we treat it equally, and like we try to ask them what's up and what's going on. So like if you're spamming all caps for something like a slay or Like if your friend is stuck, if they aren't starving to death, then you're possibly taking an admin away from a situation where there's like a serious rule break that needs to be dealt with instantly, or people are going to start losing their dinos they've worked really hard for.
Yeah.
And
Admin,
we understand. We are trying, like we've told you, we've been getting more moderators in, especially like EU and that kind of time zone. We are trying to have coverage, but we're not always going to, especially at the middle of night in terms of North American times.
Yeah,
because it's just this server is a North American server. We can try as much as we can, but it's not going to be perfect. And you have to understand and bear with us, especially things like dino requests and so on overnight. There's a good chance they're not going to be done for hours on it because we are not there.
We're humans.
And we just want people to understand, like, it's not something that's going to be immediate, and we can't promise you it's going to be immediate, and we're never going to. But we can try as best as we can.
Is there is there anything in the chat that like helps you guys notice when people are trying to get a hold of you? Because I've noticed if I do like @admin in the chat, it usually gets attention pretty quickly.
Yeah.
I mean, anytime anyone says admin.
Yeah, like
I
mean, for me, it's purely just like if you say admin, my eyes lock onto it. Like if it doesn't, it's probably because I'm already dealing with an active situation.
It's like for me, for instance, I've been in here the whole time. Most of my attention has been into this, but every time I see, out of the corner of my eye, I'll see admin pop up in the general chat, and it'll catch my attention, and I'll look in to see what's going on in game.
Yeah, we actually make all of the staff play a click game where there's a bunch of random words popping up on their screen, and when admin pops up, they have 2 seconds to click on it, or they get demoted.
Or they get demoted.
That's tough.
Admin, can you kick someone out of the server? My friend can't join.
Oh yeah, I've seen that too. But is there any other actual like big questions? Because it's been over an hour now, and I know Twitch needs to sleep because she doesn't sleep.
I work at 4 in the morning and it's 10 in the night.
So we probably need to wrap up right now.
Bro, 6
Did
hours.
Twitch actually go to bed tonight?
More.
I will actually go to sleep this time.
Just
I promise.
out of curiosity, though, is there any way, like, in
Mantis, they are basically dealt with the same as everyone else. If they didn't read the rules, that's on them. If they broke it, and they'll suffer the same consequences that everyone else does. Simple as that.
Someone had a question, but they got interrupted, and we're so sorry.
Sorry.
It's fine. I was just wondering. It's more of like a in-game thing. I was wondering if there's a way to like scroll through chat and stay at where you are.
No.
Or does it always?
I wish.
You know, as an admin, that is actually a big deal for me because it's like sometimes I need to like read something because somebody posts a whole paragraph in the general chat, and if people keep talking, it just disappears real quick, and it's hard to catch some of that stuff.
I've started just screenshotting.
Just slam your F12 and
Yep.
go read it later. Seize admin, keybinds F12 to left click.
Since there's, actually, that's another thing. A lot of people will tell us that they can't catch situations fast enough. F12 is a hotkey. Use it. Please. That is like one of your biggest buttons for proof. If you're falling off a cliff, smash that F12 5 times.
Screenshot
Yeah, we will watch your slideshow of you falling to your death.
We will.
I
Trust me.
fell off the damn help.
It'll give us a perverse sense of pleasure, but we'll still watch it anyway.
Like, throw it in
Slideshow.
PowerPoint, put some captions on it. We'll have a good laugh. We'll grow your dino.
Literally, and they made a beautiful video, and they put captions and sound effects, and I love to do it.
Yes.
Bonus points with me if you put the Pirates of the Caribbean theme on it.
Yeah, bonus points.
Wait, can you actually get your dino grown if you fall off like a 4-inch fall and die?
Lego unmutes himself for 2 seconds to say that one thing.
Damn it.
Yes, no, it was just an example and a joke, but no, back if you ask.
I was gonna
That's your
say
own
someone
fault.
owes me a Camaro,
Sorry.
but that's fine.
If you naturally fall off a cliff, then that's your problem. Like, I don't mean to be rude, but it's a funny. That is still your problem. There are some times where I slipped and died, and well, that